Good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind in 1 year. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. Today is March 10th. And so what we do here, if you're new, is we listen to a recording of today's reading, and then I will share whatever perspectives come alive in me as that reading is happening. And then I invite you to do the same. And then when we're complete with that process, we will do a brief 5-minute meditation practice. And then I will close us out with an affirmative prayer, also known as a spiritual mind treatment. So here we go. March 10th. Science of Mind, A Philosophy of Faith, A Way of Life by Ernest Holmes. Reading from page 144, paragraph 3, through page 146, paragraph 1, using inclusive language. Thoughts are things. Health and sickness are largely externalizations of our dominant mental and spiritual states. An emotional shock, or a mind filled with thoughts of fear, has been known to cause the momentary stoppage or acceleration of the heart. Physicians now testify that, under emotional stress, particularly anger, the blood leaves a chemical deposit around the joints in the body. Worry, fear, anger, jealousy, and other emotional conditions are mental in their nature, and as such are being recognized as the hidden cause of a large part of all the physical suffering to which the flesh is heir. A normal, healthy mind reflects itself in a healthy body, and conversely, an abnormal mental state expresses its corresponding condition in some physical condition. Thoughts are things. Modern psychology affirms that all the thoughts and emotions we have experienced since we came into conscious existence are still present in mind. Where ceaselessly active, they manifest themselves as subjective tendencies that mold the body in health or sickness, and determine, as well, our reactions to all life and experience. We do not maintain that this or that specific disease is always the result of thinking about such a condition, but we do assert that a prolonged discordant mental state is certain to eventuate in some form of physical ailment. People have died of great grief, of broken hearts, of outbursts of temper, of deep and continued resentment, or excessive worry, and many other mental states in which there was no specific thought of sickness at all. The point to remember is that all mind activity inevitably tends to create its physical correspondent, so that an unhealthy or morbid mental state projects itself into the physical body. Thoughts are things. They have the power to objectify themselves. Thought lays hold of causation and forms real substance. The word of a person is the law of their life, under the one great law of all life. Thoughts of sickness can make a person sick, and thoughts of health and perfection can heal them. Thought is the conscious activity of the one thinking, and works as that one directs, through law, and this law may be consciously set in motion. This law will work for us to the fullest extent of our belief in and understanding of it. A realization of the presence of God is the most powerful healing agency known to the mind of people. One with God. Until we awake to the fact that we are one in nature with God, we shall not find the way of life. Until we realize that our word, our own word, has the power of life, we will not see clearly. The Bible points out that people have the same power, in their own life and in their own world that they claim for God. The Word was with God, and the Word was God, is an oft repeated but little understood statement. The promise to us is equally positive. The Word is nigh thee, even in thine own mouth, that thou shouldest know it and do it. If any word has power, it follows that all words have power. It means that every word which we hear, speak, or think has some power. Okay. So this may be the most misunderstood and misused concept in metaphysics. This idea about illness being self created, as in created by a human being. The reality of it is, every virus, every bacteria is an idea in mind that has manifest in form, just like everything else. Right? I remember Amit Goswami in our quantum healing class in ministerial school talking about cancer in and of itself is a perfectly healthy cell. It's just in the wrong environment, and that's why it creates problems in our physical being. One of the most powerful books that I personally have ever read that helped clarify all of this for me is The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. Because what he talks about is that mentally we're creating, we're changing, we're establishing an environment that our cells live in, and in living in that internal environment that we create with our thoughts and our feelings, the cells learn how to behave, and each cell is learning from another cell. And so it's that cellular communication that manifests, that objectifies as illness. And so we get to participate in that process. Right? There are cases that evidence our mental state absolutely results in the healing of a physical state. And we also teach that, consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, is in the pill and the prayer, right? Medical technology is an objectification of mental process, which is God in action. If we stop, if we get out of the idea of right and wrong and just understand that everything in this physical realm is the infinite expressing, then it all becomes available, right? And it's more a matter of how we use it than if we use it, because we're all using it. Law is always active, always. It's just what are we moving in consciousness into that. I want to be really clear on page 45, third paragraph there, where it says, thoughts are things, they have the power to objectify themselves. All that's saying is that thoughts become objects. That's what that objectify themselves means. It just means they become objects in this physical realm. And I think the other thing to point out here that I personally found to be helpful and scary at the same time is that modern psychology affirms that all thoughts and emotions we have experienced since we came into conscious existence are still present in mind. And if you think about that, it has to be that way. If mind is eternal, then all thoughts must be equally eternal, because all thoughts are activity of this eternal mind. Right? It's very circular and very self-affirming. And so where ceaselessly active. They manifest themselves as subjective tendencies that mold the body in health or sickness and determine as well our reaction to all life. This is what Buddhism talks about as karma. It is those tendencies, those threads, that the karmic threads of humanity, not just you. It's not, karma is, we've westernized the idea of karma, that we're punished for something that happened in previous lifetimes. That is not what I learned in ministerial school or what I've learned from Buddhism. Karma is the human tendencies, the unconscious patterns of humanity. And we get to be a part of changing those and healing those if we choose. And those show up in everybody's life. And so if you see someone else encountering any level of illness, I invite you to consider, instead of wondering what they did to create that condition, ask yourself, how are you participating in creating conditions that show up as illness anywhere? Because when we do that, then we're all standing in the power to be a part of the healing process. What heals in one place heals every place. So that's what's alive in me this morning about the reading. I'm going to take us into our 5-minute meditation and then close us out with a spiritual mind treatment. So breathing into that inner being, moving my awareness more deeply inward into the center of my being, I recognize there is only one power everywhere present, changeless, nameless, infinite possibility, continuously expressing itself in the multiplicity of form. Every form evidence of a desire of this one power to know and experience itself as that. One substance that is the very substance of all that is formed and unformed, seen and unseen. One. And while it is nameless, meaning unlimited, cannot be fully contained by a name, we know it by many, many names. God, love, peace, power, the infinite, the divine, the great mystery. Higher power. Each and every name simply a reference point of understanding. A reference point in this beautiful tool that we call language. And never limits the infinite. Changeless, because while it expresses in the multiplicity of form, it already is everything, so there is nothing for it to change into, but rather infinite possibilities of it to express. And recognizing that there is only one substance, and recognizing that this physical iteration of it as me is fully present, I must recognize that it is choosing to express itself as Rafe, as this human life that I am living, that this very human life that I am living is a desire in the heart of the infinite to experience itself, the heart of creation, to expand itself as the expression of Rafe. And what is true of me must be equally true of every expression in this physical realm. That the microphone that is capturing my voice right now is an objectification, is an object of a desire of the infinite to express itself as a microphone. That every person, whether they're listening to this or not, is that. And so in the truth of one, every object must be connected in this incredible unity of one. Eternally unified and never uniform. Eternally one, different by design and never separated. In one, there is nowhere to separate to. There is no outside to go to. There can be no other. And so I claim and affirm, I use my voice, which is the voice of the infinite speaking through its physical container as me. Claiming and affirming an awakening, an awareness of the truth of what one really is, of the harmonious operation of that one as differences. And I recognize that the excavation to that awakening is that everything unlike that bubbles to the top to be neutralized, to be healed. And I claim it as so. I reaffirm my intention to fully participate in the healing of life by the revealing of the activity, the harmonious activity of one within this thing I call my life. To lead by example, to become that presence that is so clear and so boldly stands in the truth of being that I am unwavered, that I am unmoved, and yet continuously teachable. And I recognize that what I claim for myself in the truth of oneness, I claim for all. And so I am careful and intentional to claim the presence of what already is, knowing that as the presence of what is becomes attended to, that as awareness of the presence of who and what we already are becomes known in each experience of mind, that everything else is neutralized. So I claim it, I affirm it, and believing that it is already done by the activity of law, I celebrate the manifestation of it. I intentionally choose to stand in that yes, recognizing that when I believe it, I will see it. And knowing it is complete, I let go of all the arguments against it. I let go of all of the conditioned thinking that is just static, that is just misinformation. I let it all go. And I stand in the clarity and the power of one. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you.